Now, the battle of where should former Mozambique's finance minister, Mr. Manuel Chang, face the music on his corruption charges seems a bit far from over. Mozambique is seeking to challenge the Joburg High Court's ruling on Manuel Chang that he should be extradited to the United States. Mozambique wants him to face the law in his own country. So what chances of success does the Mozambican Prosecutor General have in her bid for leave to appeal the ruling here in Johannesburg? Well, to discuss this, I'm joined now by Dr André Thomashausen, Unisa's Professor Emeritus of International Law. Prof, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr Thomashausen, for your time. When we last spoke here on eNCA some weeks ago, you were very clear that the only place to where Mr. Chang can be extradited to in terms of international law was America. Now, last week, the Johannesburg High Court ruled in that same vein, but now we understand the Mozambique Prosecutor General wants to challenge that in court here to stop that, that ruling from being effective. Any chance of success?
Hello, Dan. Hello, listeners. No, I don't think there's much chance of a success. Judge Victor was very, very thorough and very careful in her judgment. Maybe to make it very clear for listeners that aren't lawyers, if a South African in a drunk state in a Mozambican village runs over a child and kills that child, then that South African will stand trial in Mozambique. And South Africa can't demand the extradition of that South African to spare him the discomforts of a Mozambican jail. And this is a little bit the same thing here. There's 2 billion euros that this Minister of Finance has signed away. And in order to raise that money, sovereign bonds were issued by Mozambique and they were sold essentially on the American market. So there are about 2 million Americans who invested amounts of $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 each, savings mostly, and that money is gone. It will never be paid back. The promise that it would be paid back with interest is worth nothing. So obviously, the crime was committed in America. The fact that Mozambique is also not looking so good is neither here nor there. This is why the extradition agreement between South Africa and America, which predates any SADC arrangements, specifically orders the courts and the authorities to look at the nationality of the victims of a crime. And therefore, I still maintain Chang will go to the United States.
Why would the Prosecutor General of Mozambique, such a high office, not understand that part of international law that you've so eloquently and simply explained now to us and our viewers?
Well, I doubt the good faith of that lady prosecutor. She's acting on political instructions. She's a political appointee. She's an expert in customary family law. She's never studied international law. She's a bit out of her depth on these things. But her instructions are obviously to delay the arrival of Chang in America for as much as possible. This is why initially they asked for an extradition after America had asked for the extradition at a time when Chang wasn't being sought for anything in Mozambique and when he enjoyed parliamentary immunity. And they lied to the South African Department of Justice about that. When that was found out, and our new Justice Minister Lamola therefore reversed a decision of his predecessor, she changed her tune and they did issue a warrant for the arrest of Mr. Chang. But they are looking for him as a witness in the ongoing trial that we see in the media in Maputo. And they have him as a suspect in a different criminal matter, which hasn't even started. So he's not accused, he's not convicted. And for that reason, under normal circumstances, in application of our South African Extradition Act, he cannot be extradited to Mozambique.
But Ronald Lamola, our Justice Minister, also changed his mind at some point. Hence, this case came to court now urgently in front of Judge Victor and brought together by the Mozambique Budget Monitoring Forum, that civil society organization that's opposed to corruption in Mozambique. So do you think our own Justice Minister might have come under political pressure, or there was some misunderstanding that led him to change the initial position?
This is indeed a puzzling question. Minister Lamola is a very learned colleague. He has 2 masters in law, so he definitely knows the fundamental principles of our South African law, administrative law. He cannot make an administrative act without giving just and fair and transparent reasons, and yet he took that decision without furnishing any rational reasons. One could even think he deliberately produced a defective administrative act to wait for a court to squash it. Be that as it may, it is imaginable that South Africa wanted to do a favor to President Nyusi in Mozambique, because Mozambique had been amenable to accepting the South African National Defence Force together with other SADC contingents to do certain operations in the northern part of Mozambique, and for many different reasons. I think this was politically convenient to South Africa to also play a bigger role within the SADC alliance. But that's speculation. The fact is that Justice Victor very correctly considered the administrative act passed by by Minister Lamola as null and void, because it lacks any rational and verifiable reasoning.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. André Thomashausen. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. We'll have to wait and see when this matter will be heard urgently in court, because the statement I saw on Friday, or by Friday coming out of Maputo, was that they want this matter to be heard urgently in court. And on Friday, I interviewed Professor Adriana Novunga from the civil society organization, who said they will oppose that application and that Mr. Chang must go to America. Thank you very much, where he's going to face the music in relation to that €2 billion hidden debt scandal.